Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to look into the DVWA, which is the damn vulnerable web application from the beginning. That means from the installation, and we are going to look the latest version as of now. So I'm just opening the browser, and here I'm just going to search for the DVWA, which is the damn vulnerable web application from the GitHub. So when I searched for DVWA GitHub, I was able to get a DigiNinja's DVWA link. So I'm just clicking that. So now I'm just scrolling down, and in the end we can see the download the script option here. So here I am just copying this link, and I'm just opening a terminal and pasting the entire link, and I was able to download the dvwa.sh. So when I enter ls, as you can see, this is what we download. I'm just zooming it for you. So I'm entering chmod to give execution permission to that particular file, and I'm just entering sudo /install.sh. So I'm just executing this as super user, and it's done. So you just need to download the same that I downloaded from the same GitHub repository and import and do like what I done. Okay, you can also use tryhackme's DVWA, which also includes all those things, but in some scenarios you may find errors in tryhackme, so that is why I am just importing this into my local machine. So you can do whichever you like. Okay, so this is the latest version of DVWA, which includes some more vulnerabilities, which we are gonna discuss, and I'm gonna explain the types of vulnerabilities, like which are different types of vulnerabilities. And there are some error contents which I'm not going to talk about. Okay, so anyways, here we can see no password, just hit enter. So we're just clicking enter. We just don't need to specify anything. I'm just clicking enter. As you can see, it's configuring DVWA and configuring permissions, configuring PHP. So if you are new to this field, then this is a must watch video. So share this video or share this course to someone else who is beginner to the cybersecurity field and want to learn about web application. So here, what I'm going to do here is we have an admin as the username and the password is password. And we have a DVWA as in being installed successfully. Access this link option. So I'm just right clicking and open the link, and I was able to access the DVWA. So the username is admin and the password is password. And I was able to log in. So as you can see, some kind of missing error. So what you need to do here is like click here, like create or reset database, something like that, and after that you can just see setup successful, and it's it. So you can just enter it again, like admin password, and login again, and you were able to see it worked, right? So this is just a simple troubleshooting at the beginning. Okay, so let's start with the first one, which here is the brute force. So I hope you know about brute force. If you don't know about it, then also I will teach you about this. So before beginning, I am going to the DVWA security option, and I'm just changing the security to low so that we will be able to show and demonstrate everything so easily, and clicking submit, and the security level is set to low. Now we are moving to the brute force. So our aim is to brute force this username and log password to gain access. Okay, so we can just enter some basic credentials, like some default passwords and usernames, like admin password. So this is basically the username and password. Welcome to the password protected area, admin. So basically the username is admin and password is password. So anyways, in some scenarios, if you don't know about the username and password, then how you brute force it? So yeah, we can just enter something like this and something like this. When you click login, you can see username and or password is incorrect. So in this scenario, I assume you don't know the username, you don't know the password. So in that scenario, how we can brute force it? So we can use various tools, but here I'm using the burp suite. If you don't know about burp suite, you have to learn it. So this is a super useful tool. So burp suite. So I'm just starting the burp suite, and I'm also clicking here in the browser to add the Foxy proxy. I hope you know about Foxy proxy. and I'm just starting this extension. So you can also configure it in the settings, and if you don't want you to use proxy, you can just go to the settings, search for proxy, and select the manual proxy, and here enter 127.0.0.1, change the port to 8080, and click this and submit. So and click OK. And after completing that, you can just click to this page like use systems proxy settings and click OK. So if you enable proxy, then you don't be able to move to some other pages or something like that, and you have to disable proxy to move to some other pages. And normal browsing, if you are browsing normally, then you have to disable the proxy. So anyways, so here for this demonstration, I'm just starting the Foxy proxy, and I'm just starting the burp suite and clicking the proxy settings in the burp suite and starting the interception option. So I just turned on the interception option and also configure this. Now I have to enter some username. Here I am just entering some random numbers like AAA and some password randoms, and I'm just clicking login, and as you can see, it's captured. It was captured, and you can see the username is this and password is this, is what I entered, right? So we just need to perform brute forcing, right? So that's our main objective, right? So for that, I'm just right clicking here and selecting to send to intruder, or you can also press Ctrl+I to send to intruder in the burp suite. So I just send that, and here you can see about username. So this is our username, and the password, this is our password that we entered, right? So we just need to perform brute forcing on username and password. So both username and password that you need to perform brute forcing. So for that, we have to say select the attack here. So if you select the sniper attack, then you can use only one payload at a time. That means it is helpful for us to find the username or find the password, but not both. But here we are using the cluster bomb attack. It is useful for combination of each set. Basically, if you don't know the username and password, then you can find both of them using the cluster bomb attack. So that's why we are using the cluster bomb attack option here. Okay, and after that, here in the positions, I'm just clicking the clear option. So after clicking the clear option, you have to select the username. So what we entered in the username here, we entered like A, right? So I'm just double clicking, and the entered content, which is the value of the username that we entered, was selected, right? So after selecting the value of the username that you entered, you just need to click the add position, and you just added that into the position 1, right? So now you have to double click in the value of the password that you entered, which here is 154, and click the add. As you can see, payload 2 was also set. So like that, you have to set username and password. Okay, so you just need to add those positions. Okay, after that, you'll be able to see both of them in the payload section. So when I move to payload 1, which is the username, we have to we can also see payload configuration here. So here what we are going to do here is to you can also add some word list into it. It might take some lot of time to complete the attack. So here what we are going to do is we are just adding some random word list, like we have admin, we have cyber, we have password, something like that, some wrong characters, and 1 2 3 4 5. So these are the things that I'm adding as a username. Okay, so here I just added up to 5 characters. Here you can add any amount of characters. For this demonstration, I'm just adding this. Okay, so now I'm just selecting the second position, which is here is the password. So we just need to find the password. So the password may be admin, the password may be pass, the password may be PASSWARD. So these are some random characters I'm just entering in the password section. So basically, if your word list contains the username and password, then only you can find that. So here we know the username and password is admin password. So that's why we are just doing like this. If you don't know about it, then you have to load some word list from here in the user share directory, which will be user share directory. You will be able to see a lot of user share directory, and say that you have to move to the word list. So it's somewhere here, right? So here you'll be able to see a lot of word lists available in your computer. Okay, so you have to select from that. So for this demonstration, I'm not gonna do that. It will take a lot of time for complete, but here I'm just making it fast. So I just loaded some password payloads and some username payloads and clicking start attack. and pressing OK. And as you can see, our attack was started and it's trying 25 combinations, as you can see. And at the end, you can see this its progress was also able to see from here. And here you'll be able to see some payload 1, payload 2, and the status codes and the response and length. So here, what you need to look onto it is the length. So if there is a correct password there, then the variation will be in the length section. So basically, I just selected the first one, which is the username, which is our payload 1 as admin, and use password, which is our payload 2 as admin. So here you'll be able to see in the request, in the response, in here in the render option, you can see a screenshot of that particular page, like user and password are incorrect. Like that, you can just select and you'll be able to see a lot of things are user and password are incorrect. So here I mentioned that about length. So you just need to click here in the length to check for any variations, any big variations in the length. So when I click here, as you can see, there's a big variation in the length, which is 5073. And as you can see, welcome to the password protected area. Right, so this is how you basically find the username and password in brute force attacks. You just need to click the length and find the length with the higher variations. Here we have 5029 and 5030 as the length. When you click here, you'll be able to see some bigger variation, which is 5073, which is the payload 1 is admin, payload 2 is password, and that is the password. In the render option, we will be able to see that that is the password, right? So this is how you perform brute force attack in the burp suite. I hope you understand that. You just need to look for the length. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. I'm just discarding. I'm just stopping out. And remember to turn off the Foxy proxy, or if you turn on the browser settings, then you have to turn off that to make your browsing works correctly. So now we are moving to the command injection part. In the command injection, this is basically a ping a device functionality. So what it will do is you have to enter some IP address. Here I'm entering 8.8.8.8 and clicking submit. So it basically what happens, you just need to know what happens. Basically, it will give you the ping results. 1, 2, 3, 4 ping results, right? So when I enter something like 127.0.0.1, which is a local host, as you can see, the connection is there. So when I try to enter some random numbers, let me see if there is anything happening. It takes some time to get the answer, right? So here, even after some time, we do not able to find anything. So basically, yeah, we were able to find, but there is no pinging, right? So 0 received, right? 4 packets transmitted, 0 received. So that's what it is showing. So when you enter 8.8.8.8, you'll be able to see 4 packets transmitted and 4 received, right? Okay, that is the pinging functionality. So the vulnerability here in this text box is the command injection vulnerability. So here what you need to do is to enter some command. You just need to inject something into it. So how? Yeah. So I'm just entering some command, like entering some number or something like that, like 1, and I'm using a semicolon and entering ls, and instead of displaying the ping, it is displaying me the result of ls. So it is taking some time to respond, so let us wait. As you can see, we were able to find ls, right? The contents inside that directory, right? So we can also just enter 8.8.8.8. This is the normal command that we enter, right? So we can also put some semicolon and enter something like pwd. So what is the function of pwd? It's to print the current working directory, right? So here we were able to find the current working directory, right? So this is the command injection vulnerability, right? So when you use the semicolon, or you can also use the pipe symbol here and enter ls, and you will be able to see the contents, and it is taking some little time to respond. So that's something that I noted here. So anyways, we are getting the result. As you can see, we get the result, the clear result. So what is the functionality of these comments is what you need to know. So before diving into that, I will show you that. So basically, when you enter ls, you can see it basically list, right? The list the contents, right? So when you enter ls and the semicolon and pwd, what will happen? It basically executes both of these command. Like it will execute ls and it also displays the results of ls, and it will execute pwd to select, it will display the working directory. So that is the purpose of this semicolon. But what if you enter ls pipe symbol pwd? It basically execute both these commands and displays the results of the second command. Basically, it will not displays the results of first ls command, but it will execute the ls command, and it will execute the pwd command also, and it will give you the result of the last command that we entered. As you can see, we are getting the results of pwd. So we can also just enter pwd pipe symbol ls. As you can see, the last command that we entered is what is showing here. So that is the purpose of pipe symbol. I hope you understand that pipe symbol differences between the pipe symbol and the semicolon. And we can also have some other commands like double ampersand ls. I think it will work. It basically executes both of these commands. So let's see if it is working or not. Yeah, it's not working. So you can also enter something like, yeah, I'm just entering like single ampersand to check if the single ampersand is working. So these are some things that you need to execute to inject. So here in the command injection to exploit the vulnerability, right? Yeah, it worked. So single ampersand here worked and we got the result, right? So we got three characters like semicolon, pipe symbol, and single ampersand. So these are the three symbols that is vulnerable to this command injection. Okay, I hope you understand that. We are moving to the next vulnerability. Here is CSRF, cross-site request forgery. So before moving that, you have to know what is CSRF. It's basically cross-site request forgery. So what happens here? So before that, I will show you what is this functionality. Change your admin password. I'm just entering 1234. 1234. Change. Password changed. So test credentials. I don't know the username. So here it's about change your admin password. I'm just entering admin. And the password that I changed is 1234. Login. Valid password for admin. So we are going to exploit the CSRF vulnerability here. So basically, CSRF is a cross-site request forgery. So it basically does like, if assume that you are a user of a bank called ABC Bank. So if you have ABC Bank, then your browser is logged on to that ABC Bank. So think about it. You are a user of ABC Bank and you are logged in ABC Bank in your browser, and you are receiving an email from someone, and you are just clicking that email, and your content, your bank account password, your bank account credentials will getting changed when you click on that link. So that is cross-site request forgery. I will explain that. So I will show you that. So basically assumes that this is a page, or assume that this is a bank or something like that. So this is a login page functionality. So here in the URL, I was able to see the contents, right? So our current password here is, you can see from the test options, admin 1234 is our password. So when you enter like admin, and when you enter something like here as password or something like that, it shows that wrong password. So here our password is 1234. Okay. So here in terms of Instagram, for example, I'm just showing you some examples. So I'm just moving to Instagram website. Okay. So basically every user in the Instagram should need to follow this URL to access Instagram, right? So like that, assume that every user has to follow this URL to visit this website. Okay, basically if a website is vulnerable to CSRF, if the attacker knows that the website is vulnerable to CSRF, then the attackers first aim is to find the users who is using this website, and find the users whose browsers logged into that particular website, and send them phishing mails. And if they click, and they will get their account can be taken by the attacker. So I will show you that. So here I'm just copying this link and I'm just moving to the mouse pad. I'm pasting the entire link here. So here you can see password new, password new. So this is the password that we changed. So this is the client. Assume that this is the client and this is the user. This website is the user. Okay, so I am the attacker. So this mousepad is the attacker. So I'm just changing the code to something called admin. So I'm just creating a new password called admin. Okay, so I'm just copying the entire URL here, and here I'm just moving to some websites called URL encoder, and I'm just selecting a website and entering this and click encode, and I was able to see it's encoded. So basically I think you just need to move to some kind of URL encoder or URL shortener. I'm just moving to URL shortener website. I'm just opening a URL shortener website, and this is my this is the changed, like this is my attacker's URL, right, which is admin. We just changed the password to admin. I'm just clicking this. Oh my god, there's an error. So let's use some other websites. Yeah, I'm just entering my URL here, and here I'm just verifying I'm a user. Click shorten URL, and URL was shorter, so I'm just copying. Okay, so here this is the client. So attacker crafted some URL. Okay, so like I said about Instagram, everyone should have same URL, right? So like that, this is a website in which everyone should have same URL. So this website is vulnerable to CSRF. Okay, so assume that attacker send me this URL, and I am just opening this URL from the same browser that I logged into this website. If I open this URL in any other browser that is not logged into this website, then it will not work. So you have to execute this URL or visit this URL from the website that you are logged in. Then only CSRF works. So when I visit this URL, what happens is your password will get changed. So that's why people say that you don't have to click to the URL that you don't know about. So now when I click the test credentials and entering here admin and password is 1234, when I click login, it's wrong password. My password was changed because when I clicked a link and I don't know what happened, the password was changed. So you don't even know what's inside the URL because the URL is shortened, right? So when I enter the admin password, so this is the attacker created password. When I click login, as you can see, password was valid. So this is basically the CSRF vulnerability. Basically, if you are a user that you are logged into your website here, DVWA, so attackers knows that the DVWA website has vulnerabilities like CSRF. So attacker, what will they do is to find the users who uses DVWA website. Okay, for example, if it is a banking website, then attacker will find the users who uses that banking website. Then the attacker will enumerate the URL. Attacker will create an account into that particular website and copy the URL like this. And attacker will modify the parameters, and attackers may shorten the URL and send it to you via email. So when you open this via email or any other forums, if you just open the link from your own browser, then the things getting changed without your knowledge. Not only password, anything can happen because of CSRF vulnerability. Okay, so that's explanation of CSRF. I hope you understand with that. If you don't understand, you have to watch that part again. Okay, so let's move to the file inclusion vulnerability. Here you can see it's about the file inclusion vulnerability. Here we have file1.php, and it's saying that's hello admin. Your IP address is 127.0.0.1. I'm just clicking back, moving to file2.php, and I needed a password 8 characters long. So I picked Snow White and 7 Joash Nick Helen. So I'm just moving to file3.php, and this is the content that I'm able to see here. In the URL, you can see it's about file 1, file 2, file 3. What about file 4? Let me check file4.php. As you can see, hidden content. Good job. This file isn't listed at all on DVW. If you read this, you did something right. So we were able to find some hidden contents, right? So basically this vulnerability is like we can access some sensitive contents inside the device. Like I'm just entering etc/etc pass wd, pressing enter. As you can see, this is some contents inside our web. So basically I'm just viewing the page source to see this clearly. As you can see, so we were able to enumerate all the users inside this website. So that's what this vulnerability is meant to be. We were able to view some sensitive contents inside the web page, and we were able to enumerate the users that is logged in, and a lot of things that you can do by exploiting this vulnerability. For this demonstration, we use /etc passwd. So basically, in some scenarios, in some real way scenarios, I think we can just move to the security level to medium, and I'm just moving to that vulnerability file inclusion, and here I'm just entering /etc/passwd. It's working. So I'm just selecting too high. Now I'm moving to file inclusion, and I'm just changing this into /etc/passwd. It doesn't, it is saying that file not found, right? So what happens here is the vulnerability is high. So basically in some real life scenarios, we have to enter like ../../../. So this is basically file inclusion vulnerabilities. You have to put some ../ up to any times. Okay, and press enter, and you'll be able to see the content. But here it is not showing, so the vulnerability is not exploited in this way. But in some real scenarios, you just need to enter this command. So basically in some scenarios, the attacker will include, like you can also search for file inclusion payloads. And from the GitHub, you will be able to see a lot of file inclusion payloads to try. So I'm just copying a payload to bypass the filter, pasting it here, and it doesn't work. So basically the file inclusion payloads are like we will paste these contents like ../ and these are the contents that we put into the page to exploit this vulnerability. Okay, and you will be able to get the etc passwd content. Okay, so attacker sometimes will encode the content. Okay, so anyways, this is just for the demonstration of this vulnerability. Okay, so file inclusion means we are just entering ../ and accessing etc passwd. So that's just a beginner level knowledge of file inclusion. Okay, so I'm just moving to the low and moving to the next file upload. So here we have the file upload vulnerability. So in the file upload vulnerability here is like you can see it's choose an image to upload. So basically it is asking us to upload an image. What if we upload a malicious file? So that's the best part here is. So you will get the malicious files or reverse shells from your own computer from the user share web shells php reverse shell.php web directory. I'm just copying the entire command to my home Kali. As you can see, this is the one that is available on our computer. Okay, I'm just opening this. As you can see, we have the IP address option. So basically you just need to change this IP to your own IP address to get the reverse shell. Here I'm just entering ifconfig to find my IP address. So this is my IP address. So I'm just copying my IP address and pasting it here. Like I'm just changing this. We have the option to change this and change this. So here I'm not changing the port. Changing the port is not mandatory, but changing the IP is mandatory. You have to change the IP address to your IP address. I'm just saving this, Control S. Okay, now I'm just don't save. So now I am just trying to upload this to this directory. and click upload. And I was able to successfully upload a malicious file. So the basic functionality of this page is to upload image file. So it is accepting the .php files also. So this is the vulnerability, right? So what we can do now, we can just move to this. If we move to this page, like dot slash means it will be somewhere here. If we move to this page, then they get executed. So before that, we need to start our listener. So this is the command to start our listener, like nc, as you can see, nc for the netcat and minus nvlp for the numeric verbose listen port, and 1234 for the reverse port number, which we find in our reverse shell. I showed that, right? So I will show you that again. As you can see, 1234 is our port number, reverse port number. So we just doesn't change that. If you change this value, then you have to change here in the reverse shell also. Okay, so now we are going to execute, like we are going to visit this page. It's saying nothing happened. So I think we done something wrong. Yeah, sorry. So we just don't need this dot slash. So I'm just eliminating all dot slash. Instead, I'm just moving to this particular URL, pressing enter, and it get executed. And as you can see, we were able to get a connection back, and we were able to read the contents inside this website. Okay, so this is about this vulnerability, right? This image upload is not checking for the extensions that the user is uploading. Even if it is malicious, it is allowing us to upload that. Okay, in some scenarios, in some real world scenarios, it will check for that. So for that, for demonstrating that, I'm just changing my security from low to medium. And in the file upload, I'm also trying to upload this again. As you can see, your image was not uploaded. We can only accept JPEG or PNG images. So we can also exploit these using some tools. So I will show you that also. From the Foxy proxy, I'm just starting my burp suite. And we know that our PHP shell is also already available there. So I'm just changing my name of PHP reverse shell to something called shell.php. Okay, I'm just moving the entire content of PHP reverse shell.php to shell.php. So our new payload name is shell.php. So now what I am going to do here is we were not able to upload an image file here. It only accepts JPEG and PNG. Okay, so what we can do now is to start the burp suite. Burp suite will act like a man in the middle, right? So before this request going to the server, we can just capture it using burp suite. Okay, so I'm just starting the Foxy proxy also, and I'm just clicking upload, and I was able to capture that. Okay, so I'm just sending this into the repeater to check for extension, which are the extension will support. So here I was able to see our file name, like here is the file name, which is the shell.php, right? It will support something called php, like it says that it support png. So at the end, I'm just changing at the end to png, php.png. So instead of that, let me check that. In the render option, your image was not uploaded is also saying. So this also doesn't work. So now I'm just changing this into png dot php and sending. It says that your image was not uploaded. Okay, still it doesn't upload it. So when you upload png, then still doesn't working. So it basically doesn't accepting png. So let me check jpeg. So sorry. We have the content type available here, which is saying that this is an application xphp. So basically the vulnerability here is in the content type. So if you upload a legitimate image, then it will accept. But how we can exploit this vulnerability? Like instead of changing that, I am going to change the content type of PNG image. Like instead of this application, I'm just entering here image, changing this into PNG, and the file name is shell.php. Okay, and the content type I am just changing to image/png, and as you can see, we were able to upload that. Okay, so now what we are going to do here is to change the same thing here, like a file a shell.php. So even the PHP is accepting, but the content type is what they are looking for. So I'm here changing the content type to application slash png and clicking forward, and I'm just stopping the interception. I'm just closing the burp suite. As you can see, we were able to upload, we were able to exploit the vulnerability, right? So we can just try to get a reverse access. So you just don't need to specify the dot flash. We have to start our listener, which is nc nvlp for the numeric verbose listen port, 1234 for the reverse port number, and just pressing enter. Oh my god, I just need to turn off the proxy. Press enter. As you can see, we were able to gain access. So this is how you exploit the file upload vulnerability. Okay, I hope you understand about that too. So now we are moving to the insecure captcha, but here we were able to find some error like key missing. You have to troubleshoot that, and it will take some time to troubleshoot that. So I'm not going to look on that as of now. So just moving to the next vulnerability. Here is SQL injection, which is SQLI. So before that, I'm just changing the DVWA security to low and submit. In the SQLI, we have an option to enter the user ID. So here I'm just entering 1, submit. As you can see, we were able to retrieve the username and so first name and surname of the user 1. 2, submit. The second username details we were able to extract, right? So this is SQL injection. So this is the basic functionality of this web page. So how we can exploit this? So we can include some SQL queries like single quote, press submit, and as you can see, we were able to find an SQL error. So this confirms that this website is vulnerable to SQLI. So how we can exploit it? So I'm just entering a single quote and or 1 equal to 1 hash. So this is an SQL query to get the results to exploit this vulnerability. So you have to learn this query, single quote or 1 equal to 1 hash. You will be able to get a lot of SQLI payloads from GitHub. You can also search for that also. As you can see in the SQLI payloads, when you search online, you will be able to see a lot of payloads. As you can see, that's also available. You can also use those things also. So here, this is the basic thing that you have to learn by yourself. It's simple, like single quote or 1 equal to 1 hash. Press submit. What happens? We were able to dump all the information of all users here, right? Like we have hack me user, Pablo user, Gordon Brown user. The basic functionality is to, when you enter the username, your user ID here, it will display that information about that particular user ID. But when you input SQL query, then what happens? It will dump all of these things that we doesn't requested. So this is how we exploit SQLI. Now we are moving to the blind SQLI. So in the basic SQLI, we just include a single quote and find an error. But in the blind SQLI, we are trying to include single quote. When I click continue, there was an error is what is saying, but it's not saying about SQL error or something like that. So in the blind SQLI, we are also trying to enter 1 and user ID exists in the database. You don't have any information about the particular user in that particular database, right? So we can enter something, the command link that we enter, like single quote or 1 equal to 1 hash, submit, and it doesn't working, right? So this is the blind SQLI. We can't see that, right? It's blind. So to exploit this blind SQLI, we have a tool called SQL Map, which is an automated SQLI tool. Have you used that tool? That's so cool. So I'm just clearing that. And now I am going to use SQL Map tool and -u to specify the URL. So here I'm just entering some query like 1, and this is our URL. So I'm just copying the URL and the -- cookie to specify our cookie. to get the cookie. So you just need to right click, inspect, and in the console you have to enter document.cookie, and you will be able to get the cookie from there. You have to copy all the values from there and paste it here, and minus minus dbs for dumping the database. So we got an error like cookie doesn't found. So there is an error like minus minus cookie. So basically you just need to put a double quote, I think so. Now it worked. So you just need to put some double quote in the URL and the minus minus cookie and the cookie value and minus minus dbs for dumping the database, and it worked. As you can see, you are able to see it looks like the backend is MySQL. Do you want to skip test payload? So we have Y and N. So how we can select Y or N? It's basically a tricky question, but I will say that you can opt for the capital letter. So here the Y is caps. In some scenarios, the N will be caps. So you have to press N. Here Y is caps. I am just pressing Y. Here also Y is caps. As you can see, the caps is Y. You can also read that and understand what it is. I'm just pressed Y there. It's working. As you can see, this is the another scenario where the N is caps. So you have to press N. And here Y is caps, pressing Y. Y is caps, pressing Y. Here N is caps, pressing N. And here we were able to find two databases available, which is DVWA and information schema. To move to this database, we know that the database name is DVWA. So we can just enter minus capital D and DVWA. The command that we entered previously is this one. And instead of minus minus dbs, I specified minus D, capital G for specifying the database. In the database, I'm dumping all the tables, minus minus tables, to dump all the tables in the database. And as you can see, we were able to dump the tables in the database, which is guest book and users are the two tables available in the database. So now what I'm going to do is to select the table, minus T to select the table. Here we are going to select the users table, and minus minus columns to select the, to dump the columns in the table, and it's working. And as you can see, we were able to dump the columns in the table, right? We have a username, a user, password. We can also dump for user password, and we know that user ID there, right? So here we have an user ID option, so we can just dump for the user ID instead of that. So I'm just selecting the column name, minus capital C for specifying the column here as user ID, comma, password. It's the two columns I'm going to dump here, like minus minus dump for dumping that. And as you can see, it's do you want to store hashes temporary file further processing with other tools? I'm just entering N, and here Y and Q. I'm just do you want to crack them via dictionary based attack? So do you want to crack the hash? So you can just enter Y to crack the hashes. So I'm not specifying any dictionary file. It will use the default file to crack. And you want to use common password suffix? I'm not using that. So the passwords are stored in hashed format. So we are cracking that using like we have user IDs and all the hashed formats. So these are the passwords available inside that. So this is inside that, right? So we can also use the minus minus dump command instead of specifying the column. We have users, so it will dump all the things inside the users. Okay, let's see that. As you can see, the Gordon, right? So this is what we seen from the SQLi before, right? So yeah, let it work. As you can see, do you want to store hashes for temporary file? I'm just entering N and entering Y, and as you can see, we get everything like user ID, username, all those things like hack, admin, Godlo, Pablo, Bob, everything. So this is how you use this tool and dump the credentials from it. Okay, so this is how you use SQL map tool to dump that. Now we are moving to the next section, which is a weak session ID. So here what happens here is like it's generating weak session ID. So when I click generate, in the storage option in the developer tabs, you can see this is the DVWA session. The value is 1. So when I click generate again in the storage cookie, the value is 2. When I click generate again in the cookie, we can see the values 3. So basically, every time when we click generate, the cookie is 1, 2, 3, which are predictable values. So this is the weak session IDs. The session ID is weak. It's easily predictable. So I will show you the DVWA security with medium, and moving to the weak session ID. And now I'm just clicking generate and moving to the storage cookie localhost. Now the session ID was changed, right? So I'm just copying this session ID, pasting it in the mousepad. Okay, I'm just clicking generate again. Now I'm just copying this also, pasting it here. I'm just clicking generate again, copying and pasting. So look at this. Here, these are the 3 session IDs generated. So here the vulnerability is like these characters are similar, right? And the changing characters are like 1, 6. These much characters are similar, and the last 3 characters is only changing from 317, 329, and 336, which can be brute forced by an attacker to find those sessions, right? So this is a weak session ID. So we can also move to something called high. And in the session ID, I'm just clicking generate. Here, look at, we have 2 DVWA session, which here one of them is that we found in the previous, and now we have the new DVWA session. I'm just pasting that here in the mousepad, clicking generate again, pasting that in the mousepad. So this is the difference. Like in the beginning, we were able to find the weak session IDs like 1, 2, 3, which is so much predictable. So now after the medium, you were able to see the contents is not as much predictable as 1, 2, 3, but it is still can be brute force, right? Now when I change the security to high, this is the session ID is generating, so which is somewhat hard to predict, right? Hard to like exploit, right? So that's about the weak session ID. So if the session ID is weak, then attackers can gain access to your computer by exploiting that vulnerability. It's not computer, it's like exploiting the, if the session ID is weak, then attacker can easily get your session and gain access to your website. Okay, so anyways, let's move on to the next vulnerability. Here is XSS DOM, which is the XSS stands for the cross-site scripting. So there is a command for us to exploit this XSS vulnerability. Here the vulnerability is the DOM. DOM stands for the document object model. So which is from in our client browser. This vulnerability exists in our client browser. So how we can exploit this? The functionality here is like English. It's about changing language. So this is the functionality. So here in the URL, I was able to find English. Instead of that, I'm just including a script tag and allowed of hack. So this is the command that I'm using here. So how it will work? So this is the command. Like script tag is used to import JavaScript and alert of to make this as pop-up box, and hacked is the content that we need to retrieve from that. So I'm just copying this, and instead of here, I'm just pasting it in the default option, clicking select. Sorry, I just like in the URL, I'm just clicking enter, and it's high vulnerability. So let me change that first into low. No, I am just changing this and pressing enter, and it worked. So this is the SQLI sorry, this is the XSS vulnerability. So we were able to find a pop-up box, right? So like that, attackers can steal the cookies of the users, right? So we have a command for that called document.cookie, and this is how the attackers steal the cookie using by exploiting this XSS vulnerability, right? Instead of alert, we have input a document.cookie. Okay, so this is here is the DOM based vulnerability. So which means that it will be somewhere in our, it will execute in our client browser. It's not going to the server. So I'm just inspecting that, and I will show you that. So here we use document.cookie. Instead of that, I'm just executing some other things like hack. It worked, right? Hack. So now in the inspector, we will be able to see here in the browser. I'm just exploring all those things in the container. I'm just finding the DOM. So this is the DOM. So I want to find our executed command. It will be available here in the DOM. I'll show you that. As you can see in the vulnerable code area, please choose a language is that option. And here you will be able to see our script. So what we entered is shown here in the value option, and it's in the encoded form, like it's in the URL encoded form. So you can also decode it. And you can see this is what we entered, right? As you can see. So it's in the document object model DOM, right? So that's that vulnerability. Okay, so now we are moving to the next one, which is a reflected XSS, which will reflects. So I'm just executing the same command. Here it will reflects in the server. As you can see, it is reflected. It's reflecting instead of, it's basically like when you enter your name, press submit, and it will show this. Whatever you're entering, it will show that, right? So I am entering the script, it will reflect. So instead of that, I'm just entering document.cookie. And we are able to get the cookie value, right? So this is the reflected XSS, which will just reflects and show you that. You can also see this in the debugger. When you execute this, it will be here, right? Okay, so now we are moving to basically it will execute on the server side. It's not execute in the client or domain. In the DOM document object model. So now we are moving to the next one, which is XSS stored. Stored XSS means that it will be stored, and whenever the user tries to visit the browser again and again, it will get executed again and again. You just in the reflected DOM case, you have to input this code again and again to get it executed. But in the stored XSS, you just don't need to input it again and again. Once you input that, it will execute again and again. So I will show you that. Here the vulnerability is in the name parameter, in the name area. So we can't input a lot of values. So I'm just clicking here. It doesn't work, right? So it's in the name. So what we need to do here is to inspect. Here I'm just moving to this button, selecting this. As you can see, the max length is 10. I'm just changing to 100 to include more contents and pasting the entire content. We were able to paste our payload by changing the inspector value here in the browser developer tools. In the message lake, you can enter something like this: sign guest book. It get executed, hacked, right? So once executed, it will be stored in the server and it will execute again and again when you visit. So this is the most dangerous XSS vulnerability. So now I am moving to reflected, coming back to stored, it get executed. Now I am moving to DOM, coming back to store, it gets executed. So whenever you come again and again to this particular website, it gets executed. It's stored there, right? So that's about stored XSS, which is the most dangerous vulnerability. So whenever the user visits again and again, it gets executed. But in terms of other DOM or reflected, you have to enter it to get executed. But in stored, it is stored there and it will automatically execute again and again whenever you visit this website. Okay, so that's all about XSS stored. Now we are moving to CSP bypass. CSP basically stands for Content Security Policy. So basically in CSP bypass, what is CSP is what you need to know. Okay. So basically a CSP is the Content Security Policy, is a security standard that helps developers protect their websites from various attacks such as XSS and clickjacking. CSP is implemented to protect the websites against XSS and clickjacking attacks. So here we are going to try the clickjacking attack. So what is clickjacking? Have you heard of that? So we can just search for clickjacking payloads online, and you will be able to see from a lot of websites, you will be able to get a lot of payloads available for clickjacking. For the sake of you easier thing, so I'm just looking for the payloads that is easier for me to demonstrate. We can search for clickjacking payload OWASP. From the OWASP website we can see some payloads. Anyways, I'm using this payload. Okay, so I'm just copying this payload and I'm just moving to my mouse pad and entering this payload. Instead of specifying the URL, we have to specify our URL, which here is the this URL. Okay, I just put this URL and control S for save, and I'm just saving this as click.html. You just need to save this as HTML because it's an HTML code. Saving that. Now I'm just going to double click and execute this. As you can see, this website is vulnerable to clickjacking. Basically, what a clickjacking is, we were able to make this like a low window. We were able to view the content in a low window, right? So I will demonstrate something like that. Like I'm just moving to a website called Vulnweb. I don't know if this is website vulnerable to clickjacking. So let me check first. This is an intentionally vulnerable website. Maybe this is also vulnerable to clickjacking, but let me check that first. I'm just changing the target website to this vulnerable website, and here in the test page I'm just loading again. Control S, save, executing again. As you can see, yeah, it is also vulnerable to clickjacking. Basically, if this website is not vulnerable to clickjacking, then it will not display in a low frame window. Okay, so that's about clickjacking. And for the demonstration, I will also show you about Instagram. For example, I'm just pasting the Instagram website URL here. I'm just saving this and I'm just double clicking. As you can see, the page was not able to view because this website, Instagram website, is not vulnerable to clickjacking, right? So if your website is vulnerable to clickjacking, then it should be able to view in a low frame window. So attackers can exploit this vulnerability by including some malicious contents. So when the victim clicks that this is a legitimate website, when the victim clicks on that website, attackers can redirect the victim to some other malicious sites. So that's how the clickjacking vulnerability is exploited by the attacker. So I'm not gonna go deep into that, but I just demonstrate the clickjacking vulnerability. These are the websites that is vulnerable to clickjacking vulnerability because we were able to view the websites in some low window. Like it's not full screen. You can just change the contents like in the you can just control the length and width by yourself. So that's why it is vulnerable to clickjacking at time. So that's about CSP bypass. Now we are moving to the JavaScript. As you can see, it's about change me, submit the word success to win. So instead of that, we are changing this to success, click submit, and it's saying invalid token. It's saying that the token is invalid. So when I am going to view the source code, I was able to find that this content is the token generation is like it is converting the word to MD5 and road 13. So let's try that. For that, I'm just copying the success word and I'm here moving a website called CyberChef. In the CyberChef website, I'm just pasting the success as input. And as you can see, first in the source code, it's first converting it into MD5 ROT 13. So the phrase is convert into ROT 13, then to MD5, I think. Let's try that. Yeah, basically here is like it is first converted to ROT 13 and the ROT 13 phrase is converted to MD5. So I will show you that. Oh my god. Okay. So first thing, oh shit, it's converting to ROT 13. Um, from the source code, you can see it's basic. This is the phrase. Okay, this phrase is first converting to ROT 13. Then the ROT 13 is converting to MD5. Okay, so our phrase here is success. So this is the phrase here success. First, we are just converting this into ROT 13. Okay, then we are going to convert this ROT 13 value to MD5. Okay, so this is how you have to enter. And we will get the output from here, right? I'm just copying the output. Here, when you enter success, SUCCESS, what you are able to see is invalid token. So I'm just inspecting this page and entering success again. Okay, here from the page you can see it's about JavaScript attacks, vulnerable code area. Submit the word success to win. Here we can see the value of the token is this. So I'm just changing the value of the token to our copied value from the CyberChef website. Pressing enter. Now I'm just changing the value here to success. Submit. As you can see, well done. It worked. So this is how you exploit this vulnerability by using the browser developer tools. Okay, by reviewing the source code and using the browser developer tools, you exploited this JavaScript vulnerability. Now we are moving to the authorization bypass vulnerability. This says that this page should only be accessible by admin user. So basically this page is only accessible to admin user. So I'm just saving the URL here in the mousepad. Your challenge is to gain access to the features using one of the other users. For example, Godom. This is one of the other users. You just need to access this page by login to this user. So this is a username, ABC123 is the password. So I'm just, this is authorization bypass. Okay. I'm just logging out. Password is ABC123. So when I logged in, I was not able to see authorization bypass here. So that thing was gone. So basically that page is only accessible by admin user. Okay. We are logged in as Godon B. So this is the URL as you can see. So I am just specifying the URL to check if we can access that page using this username. And boom guys, we were able to access this page using this username from as a user Godon. But that was not shown here, right? So if we get the URL, then we can easily access that page. So this is a severe vulnerability. So this is called authorization bypass vulnerability. Okay, so this is just a demonstration of this authorization bypass vulnerability. So some pages will not be accessible to other users. So it is accessible to user if the website is vulnerable to this. Okay, so I'm just exiting, login as admin password. Oh my god, so I think my DVWA got crashed. So here I'm just logging as another user for the demonstration, for further continuing the demonstration. So something happened and my DVWA got crashed. You have logged in as Godon. Okay. Now let's move on to the next vulnerability. Here is open HTTP redirect. So here on the open HTTP redirect, what this vulnerability is about when you click here are two links. So some of the fam hack. Code one, got you. So how you can exploit this HTTP open HTTP redirect? It will basically redirect to HTTP websites, I think. So for that demonstration, I'm just opening burp suite and starting Foxy proxy. Now here in the proxy, I'm just starting the interception and I'm just clicking here and it got intercepted. As you can see, the redirect option. So instead of this URL, I'm just entering a HTTP website URL. Here I'm just entering http://vulnerable.com and click forward. As you can see, I was able to forward the website to any other website. Like I can just forward this to a malicious website also. So this is the vulnerability. We were able to forward this to some other websites. If there is a man in the middle attack like happening, like an attacker is intercepting this traffic, then he can forward this website into malicious websites. So that is about this open HTTP redirect vulnerability. Now we are moving to the cryptography part. So I'm just stopping the burp, stopping the Foxy proxy. So here is our cryptography part. This is a super secure system, will allow you to exchange messages with your friends without anyone else being able to read them. Use the box below to encode and decode messages. We have a box here to encode and decode the messages. So this is a super secure system. Okay, so this is our message. We are using this to decode this message, and we can see we were able to decode easily. And this is the password. I'm just entering the password, click login, welcome back user. This is simple to exploit. So basically this is highly vulnerable. They are providing a system for decoding and it is accessible publicly, and their encryption is not safe. Anyone can decode it using their own systems. So you can also decode, this is basically equal to a 10 means that it is basically base 64. You can also decode from this website called CyberChef. Search for from base 64 and it's not there, right? It's not correct, it's not base 64. Yeah, but the vulnerability here is like their system was highly vulnerable. Their system is there for us to decode this. So this is vulnerability, is like the cryptography problems. They implemented a system for encoding and decoding, and their encrypted message can easily be decoded using their system. Okay, so this is about cryptography problems. You can also encode whatever you want, like you can enter cyber, click submit, and this is the encoded message. You can use this same for decoding it. As you can see, it is basically not base 64. Basically, if there is equal to a 10, it should be base 64, but it is not base 64. Okay, so this is about the cryptography problems. Their system is vulnerable. They are provided encoding and decoding options, and their system is highly vulnerable. The attackers can easily use their system to decoding their own contents. So the last one is API, which here has some errors. So I'm not going to look on that. So basically you learned a lot from this video, from the brute force to cryptography, and we just skipped one of them, and insecure capture is what we skipped. But rest of them you learned a lot. I hope this video is helpful for you to understand some web application vulnerabilities, and I will see you in the next one.